So we've got one more shop day here, finishing up the mod sled. Right now, I'm drilling some vents into my hood here, just because there's not very much airflow, and we got the exhaust pipe a little too close to our air box. So I want to try and get some airflow through the hood. I think something that grinds instead of drills would be a little better for this, because not the cleanest holes. Also partly because I made the material so thin. As soon as this thing touches the tree or rolls upside down, there's a high probability it's just gonna disintegrate. Alright guys, we're gonna throw this baby up on the scale here in a minute, but before we do that, let's go over the full build list and what we've done to this sled. I should probably have a cheat sheet because there's quite a number of items, but let's start at the back and work our way to the front. We'll start with probably what's going to be the biggest handling characteristic change to the snowmobile, and that is the 175 carbon sled skid with the 175 G5 track. I've never owned a 175, so this sled I think is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but it's also going to be a lot of fun. I do have a thought to get a 154 skid and track to put under it, just to get our lowest weight possible, and I think it would be an extremely fun sled. I should mention we're also running the Fox air shocks in the skid. I've never ran an air shock before, so we'll see how that goes. Just went with the air for the lightest shock possible. Next up, we got the Backwoods BMP rear bumper here. Custom carbon rear bumper, I should add. Huge shout out to Chet, the owner of Backwoods, for doing this. He does a lot for the snowmobile community, and he really does go above and beyond to help people out, and that's one of the big reasons why I support Backwoods so much. Moving on from there, we've got our custom tunnel cut here. We cut 25 inches out of the heat exchanger. This was a 165 sled originally, so the heat exchanger, we took 25 inches out. We shortened the overall tunnel length by 6 inches or so. This would be a 137 inch tunnel length. I basically took a 146 Backwoods bumper and I just cut the tunnel to match that, a 146 short tunnel, so 137. Then we've got, since we cut the heat exchanger out, we got carbon insert in here, our back brace in the tunnel here to kind of support everything is also a custom carbon piece. Now I made quite a number of the carbon pieces on this sled myself in my shop. If you haven't seen the video detailing that, I have posted one. Obviously I didn't make the skid, didn't make the Backwoods carbon either. Moving up from there, we've got our running boards. Now we've got quite a number of supports cut out of our running boards. We've drilled a lot of speed holds in this snowmobile, let's just say. But one of the reasons I shortened the tunnel and cut out some of the bracketry in the running board here is my hope to eliminate some of the snow buildup that the Skidoo is really bad for in this area. I shouldn't get any snow buildup back here, which is going to be amazing, but I think I still might get some here because the heat exchanger does come to here. So we'll see how that goes. Moving up, we've got the race sled fuel tank on this sled. So it's only 19 liters. That is very small. Obviously, I'm going to have to pack gas. I've got a 20-liter jerry can, the Skidoo Link one, which I could mount right here. Then even when the jerry can's empty, I'm still gonna have the can in my way from moving side to side on the sled. So I think I might switch to the fuel bag, so then when I dump my fuel out, I could just wrap it up and put it in my tunnel bag. Now, Simco Machine also made us a pack out bracket for the back here. I just don't have it on the sled at the moment. So something we're missing right here is Carbon Pursuit is making us a Summit seat mod base for this sled currently. He sent me some pictures of his mold last night. So hopefully we get that in here soon. Now I did finally track down a Summit seat mod base from the race shop, but man, those things are hard to come by. So stoked to actually get a carbon one on this sled as well. Then working up, we've got our pyramid braces out of carbon fiber. We used a red reflective carbon in this. I'm not honestly sure these are gonna hold up. I did make them quite thin, but I don't think that's where they're gonna fail. I think they're gonna fail in the bolt holes. Just with the vibrations of the chassis, I know the carbon is gonna wear out quicker than the aluminum would. But they look cool for now, and they save a few hundred grams. Actually, not even. I had to learn my carbon fiber somewhere, so I started with something easy like that. Moving up, we got our brake rotor cover. Also, that was our first carbon fiber piece we made. It was a frickin' struggle, but we got it done. We've also drilled some speed holes into our brake rotor, which you can't see. Moving up to the handlebars here, stock handlebars. We've got a lot of titanium hardware in here. All the gold is titanium. I switched back to the old brake lever because it's like 50 grams lighter or something. Now I did have this nice console piece done out of carbon fiber, and it looks pretty clean. We're gonna have some issues with that we'll talk about. Then the biggest item here that I'm stoked on is our carbon fiber custom hood. I thought I was gonna have the only G5 carbon hood when I started this project. Turns out another company ended up making one at the same time I was doing mine. But I'm really stoked that I was able to figure it out and do it on my off time throughout the summer. I think it looks amazing. We've got an air box built into here under the hood. We've got our gauge offset on our dash here. It really looks like a mod sled when you're standing on the thing. And the titanium gold really finishes it off nicely. Up from there, we've got more titanium in our A-arms. We still have the stock A-arms on right now. We're either gonna get some carbon fiber A-arms or possibly some titanium. I was hoping to have the carbon ones done for this, but as you see, he has not completed those. We do have the carbon sled tie rods with the titanium ball joints though, and we've got a lot of speed holes drilled in our spindles. Moving down to the ski there, we've got the Polaris gripper ski. Pretty excited to try that out on a Skidoo. I haven't done that before, so I think it's gonna work pretty well. Then we have the alternative impact titanium hardware. That was part of the reason I switched to the Polaris gripper ski, is because of all the tie hardware we can get for that. So the ski bolt, the runner, and all the other hardware on the ski is all titanium, which saves, I believe it's 2 pounds. I know I don't have a backwards bumper on this sled right now, and I would like to run one because I'm pretty terrified of smashing this head up. But right now we just got the stock one in for the absolute lowest weight. I was gonna run no bumper, but it was really a pain in the ass to move this sled around without a bumper, so I threw something on there. I should also mention we do have some Fox air shocks on the front here, which are hardly any lighter than the stock shocks the 24 Summit Experts came with, but they are a bit lighter. We have also cut the sway bar off this sled as well, and the mounting tabs onto the A-arms. Now, I would rather run a sway bar, more so for the trail ride, but it was another pound. I guess we'll take the side panels off and talk about a bit what we've done underneath them. If you ride a Skidoo, you know how heavy this panel is with the clutch guard in it. So what we've done is really stripped everything out of it, and we've got a carbon fiber belt guard in here. It does have some Kevlar in it as well. It is pretty thin, so it's probably not gonna hold up to many belt explosions, which I'm sure we're going to have. I did consider making some carbon fiber side panels, but I simply didn't have enough time. And the side panels really do take a beating on these sleds, so I figured it wouldn't really hurt to leave on the stock flexible ones. So the second biggest weight saving factor that's gonna attribute to the handling on this sled is probably the hood, because it's a lot of weight high up on the snowmobile. And I don't know if you've taken off a stock G5 hood, but they weigh quite a lot, especially when you've got the big 10¼ inch screen in it, where I've got just a little baby screen in here. So huge weight savings way up high on the sled is gonna make a big difference. Now under the hood here, there's not really much to see. I've changed out a little bit of hardware for titanium, but everything's basically stock right now. Now we do have a lot of speed holes drilled into our steering post here. People were grinding my gears on that, saying it was gonna be too weak. But if the steering post bends or breaks, it's not under the hood. It's up above the steering post support bracket here. For now, we actually still have stock clutching, stock gearing, and stock tuning on the motor. So everything should be covered under warranty, right? Some reason I feel like they wouldn't honor that. But we are going to clutch and tune this sled at some point, but I thought it would be good just to test it out stock to start. Let's spin this around, have a look at the other side here. This thing is long. Yep, as you can see, we've got a can. You've probably heard me talk a lot of shit about cans over the last few years, but it was kind of just a necessary evil with this snowmobile, seeing as how we were going for the lightest weight possible, and that's an easy like 11 or 12 pounds right there. So we went with the Push Industries titanium exhaust. Now originally I didn't really want to wrap this snowmobile because the wrap does weigh like 1.5 pounds, but it kind of protects everything and keeps it looking fresh. This is a snowmobile with 2,000 kilometers on it, so it was starting to look a bit rough, but it looks brand new with that wrap on there. Some of the other things I've done to save weight on the snowmobile is cut off a lot of the wiring. Everything to the back of the snowmobile is gone. I've cut into the wiring harness to trim wires back as far as I could. The headlights are gone. The wiring for that is actually still has to be cut off. It's just zip tied up here for the moment, just to make sure and test some things. The shot is removed for the snowmobile, and I actually cut off all the brackets on the chain case cover to save a few more grams, but I forgot my chain case cover in Ontario, so unfortunately I had to go out and buy one. But let's get it back together and get it on the scale. Oh, it should be good. Well, after about 6 or 7 months of working on this thing, we're gonna drop it down here and see what we're sitting at. I was really hoping to get 400. I don't think we're there. There's a couple things I can do to probably get there, and this is talking dry weight, of course, but as it sits in a 175 Skidoo Summit Turbo R, I don't think we're gonna get 400 pounds. That's a lot of weight loss. Let's drop the scale and see what we're at. $175 carbon build turbo. We are sitting at, yeah, it's actually gone up in weight a bit since I weighed it last. We're at 414 pounds. I'm a little disappointed in that. Like I said, belt drive 154. Belt drive alone is like 6 pounds, probably 10 pounds on the track. We could be under 400. A very critical piece of information I forgot to mention here is this sled weighed 525 pounds before I started. I drained the fuel out. That fuel weighed 22 pounds. Approximately would have been 10 pounds of coolant in the system as well. So that means the sled would have weighed 493 pounds approximately. I didn't drain any oil out for either weigh-in. So that means we have an almost 80-pound weight loss program here, which is huge. Skidoo just built a crazy mod sled hill climb racer. They dropped 90 pounds out. So like I said before, if I did the track and the belt drive, I'd be over 90 pounds weight loss, which is crazy. So I'm a little more stoked after actually doing the numbers. We probably won't have a chance to dry weigh this again, but we can put fuel in it and we'll get our wet weight and we'll subtract that in the future if we do the 154 skid. All in all, I am super stoked on how this sled has turned out so far. Mind you, I haven't even had it on the snow. So let's get it down from the scale, finish up a couple things, just Loctite some nuts and bolts, throw some fuel in it, and see if she fires up. Yeah, it does not run. Come on. God damn it. So when I parked the sled in the spring, I could have sworn it had blown reeds. I've blown reeds enough to know the symptoms, but thought anyway. Took the reeds out like a month ago. They looked fine. So I'm like, oh, great. Well, what could it be? So I'm like, oh, hopefully it's just the spark plugs. Change those out. I put new reeds in it anyway. As you can see, it's something else. So shit. I used to do a fair bit of wrenching back in the day, but then I started buying brand new snowmobiles and haven't done any wrenching since. When you got warranty,
I tend not to wrench.
It's not that either. I also don't know why it says check key, because changing the gauge doesn't have anything to do with that. It's the computer, so. Really made myself a can of worms here, doing all these mods before making sure I had a running snowmobile. We got spark, we got fuel. I don't know what it is then. Just not enough fuel? Bad injector? There's no way the thing's blown up. It could be. I don't have a compression tester. What time is it? No, it's after 6. Shit. What do you figure, Dawson?
Must be blowing up.
I think it's blown up. We got a compression tester here. We got 0. All right. Let's, I don't want to see. I don't want to see.
You're gonna hold the throttle? Alright, it's the moment of truth.
What do we think it's at?
85.
Oh, it's 120.
Really? Interesting.
Kind of weird.
That doesn't make sense.
That's not what I was expecting.
I wonder if you just saw an electrical issue, like
Yeah.
causing like intermittent spark or something.
Maybe try and check the spark again.
Yeah.
We'll check the other cylinder for compression too while we got it apart. But pour a little gas in the cylinder there, and let's see if it runs for a couple seconds here at least. It did. And here we are, revived. Next day, gonna let Derek take care of this thing, figure out what's going on with it. But let's compare my carbon head to the 0 carbon head. You know, that doesn't look nearly as cool as this. Oh yeah. Something interesting I see on this, we got stock intakes here, but look at all the extra holes that are drilled. This hood is probably at least twice as thick as mine. So I dropped my sled here off at Revived yesterday morning, and it's currently almost 7 o'clock on Friday night. These guys have been working on my sled basically all day. Tons of weird electrical issue and like gremlin things with the desk key. He had the main issue fixed with the motor running yesterday. It was the electrical harness and the injectors. Just swapped that out with one of my other sleds. But then this desk key is giving all kinds of issues. Having fun with this thing?
Oh yeah.
So as you can see, everything's working properly now. We swapped out the injectors and the ECM. That fixed our issue. Then we were having some really weird issues with the desk post. Tried multiple desk posts, multiple keys, program everything. Just wouldn't work. Just check key, or sometimes it'd say faulty key. So what we figured out, thanks to Blaine Matthews, the carbon fiber dash piece I made here was causing interference between the RFID key and the post. So what I did to solve that issue is cut a hole in it and just zip tied it up top, and it works like this. I don't get it. We'll have to come up with an actual nice mounting setup for the key, but for now, this is how we're gonna run it. Now that everything's running, I guess the next thing to do is gonna be to take it out on the snow. I think that's the scariest part, but you guys are gonna have to wait for that. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.